Now, I think it's finally time that we have a discussion about NAVI. So we could probably all agree that NAVI was at least a top 3 team, some would say the best team of last year. And since the Shanghai Major, they have pretty much had no notable appearances. I mean, sure, they've gotten top 4 at a few events, but for a team that we're expecting to be in contention for best team in the world still, they really just aren't getting anything done. So I want to highlight a couple of their recent results, and then I want to do a demo review of their recent match versus Liquid at IEM Melbourne, and I want to talk to you about some of the issues that they're having and see if we can pinpoint where things are going wrong and if it's over for them. And with all that being said, we'll get to that after a quick word from today's sponsor. Today's video is sponsored by SkinsMonkey. Now, if you're not familiar with SkinsMonkey, this is a trade site that allows you to take some of the old and crusty skins out of your inventory, and you can actually trade them in for something a little bit new, a little bit shinier than what you have right now. And it's really easy to do this, actually. All you need to do is log in through Steam, pick the skins that you don't want to use anymore, grab the ones that you do, and then click trade. All trades will pretty much happen immediately, and any balance that you don't use in your trade actually stays on the site for you to use for any future trades that you decide to do. And right now, if you use the link in the description, you can actually get a 35% deposit bonus, and that's good for up to $100. So let's say you deposit $100, you would actually get $135 on the site if you use my link. So make sure you check out SkinsMonkey, and let's hop right back into the video. So let's talk about all of Navi's results from this year, and I'll be putting all of the match pages right here for you to look at. So, of course, we already prefaced this by saying that they did not make the major playoffs in Shanghai, which is, of course, a devastating blow for them. They lost 2-1 to Heroic. They went on to their next event, which was their Pro League run, and they lost 2-1 to SAW. Now, obviously, this is not a very convincing result, especially the last map here. They lost 13-4 in the third map. It's just something that you don't expect to see. And then, of course, they follow this up by playing the new Tyloo roster, and they lost a map there. I'll give credit where it's due. This is Tyloo's map pick, and they handled them on the other ones, but still not what you want to see. They got convincingly 2-0'd by the Mongols. Again, this is expected, I guess, at this point. You know, this is a pretty standard result for the Mongols to be beating them, but look at how convincing it is. Not great. Then, of course, we have another loss to Spirit, where Navi show basically nothing. They don't even get double digits on a map. They get swiftly 2-0'd. Of course, the same thing happens with Eternal Fire in that same event. And, of course, we move on to IEM Melbourne. Here's the series versus FlyQuest. They lost a map to FlyQuest, which, you know, no disrespect to FlyQuest. You know, I love the Aussies, but you know, I mean, like, if I'm Navi, I'm expecting to come into the series in 2-0. Now, don't get me wrong, they did win 2 maps, but they lost their map pick, and they actually lost it pretty convincingly. I mean, just look at some of these rounds that we were watching here. I mean, at least in this round, we have not checking sandwich twice. Then we also have an overextension in a 3v3 from JL. I mean, it might not seem like a big deal, but I mean, like, if JL just stays alive here, maybe plays a crossfire with Alexi, I mean, this can't be lost. But look, there's just nobody here. We have Bit getting caught from Connector in this round. You know, just a lot of misplays, and it seems like they're not on the same page. And finally, we have the last series I'd like to talk about, which is Liquid versus Navi. Now, this is the game that we're going to be doing a demo review on, but I've been just sifting through this game, and let's just say that it's a mess. Now, it does go 3 maps, and Navi win their map pick, but on the maps that they lost, they look lost. So we're going to start with map number 1 here. This is, of course, Anubis. Now, I want to preface this entire review by saying we're going to be looking at most of the rounds that they lose. Keep that in mind going into here. The rounds that they win, they look good in. I mean, to be fair, I mean, I would hope so, right? Of course, the rounds they win, they're going to look good in. But the rounds they lose, it's pretty telling. Like, I'm not going to lie. So one of the other issues that Navi has been having is that they just aren't winning pistols. Now, you guys know me, I don't like to cover pistol rounds in these demo reviews, and the reason that I've always said this is because I think that pistol rounds are heavily dictated by RNG with the pistols. You can still be good with pistols, I 100% agree with you. Now, you can have a really good pistol round, you have double dualies and E-box, you have the perfect crossfire, but a running Glock headshot would just say that you lose the round, and that's the only reason that I don't like them. Now, I do think that there is a bad pistol team that you can have if they just aren't able to work the pistols or they're not comfortable with how the gunplay is. Then you can have a team like Navi where they have streaks of maps where they are losing both pistols in a map, like in this round, and they're getting a really bad start. But speaking of bad starts, this is actually a really good start if you lose the pistol, because look at what they've done here. What we have is a complete mid-gap. Now we have a gamble for the CTs because, of course, Anubis is very T-sided, and I'm actually working on a version of Anubis that hopefully fixes these problems. If you haven't seen all of that, click the More Austin channel. It'll be linked in my description. Go watch the Anubis rework that we're working on. But either way, they get a perfect mid-gap because Liquid have to gamble, and this is a dream start if you lose the pistol because you can get the conversion, and you know, you could steal the momentum here. And look at this. This is absolutely a dream. Anubis is T-sided for a reason, and they just take advantage of that. Now, let me reference the notepad. We haven't done that in a while. So then we have this round here. This is going to be round number 4. We know that the money is not great for Liquid, so they're not going to have a lot of utility to keep us from doing these fast contact plays, which are so prevalent on this map. Now, of course, Shui, he's going to be doing his best here, but he'll go down in a nice little trade here for Navi. So let's take a second to analyze the situation. Ima now wants to make the B player feel uncomfortable. Shui got killed, and which means we have a player in E-box, and that is very uncomfortable for the B players. Ima taking this fight is good. But the problem is what's not good is if he loses this fight, which he will go on to do, giving away the man advantage, and Bit still in E-box putting a little bit of pressure. You can see the problem here is that this timed fight from Ima is actually not very good, because now Alexi's not in a spot to be able to help them. If he would have waited a little bit, Wonderful could have gotten to E-box, Alexi could have gotten close, and the exec is pretty strong. Even though they know they're coming, it won't really matter because the fights are so favorable for the T's. But what happens now is a little bit of a indecision moment where Wonderful spots Nerds pushing. Alexi's just trying to, put a little bit of pressure. Maybe Bit's going to help. You see, there's really no clear plan here, and that's all because Ima died. Not to put all the blame on Ima, but in this round in particular, it does kind of suck because now they don't have anything that they can do. Bit's going to have to resort to walking through a smoke. In the meantime, Wonderful is also spamming a smoke. Nurse takes this timing to catch him. In the meantime, let's look at what Bit's doing. Bit's walked through the smoke and found NAV. Okay? Now Wonderful will go down to Nerds in the same frame, and Ultimate will spam Bit back. All this means that Navi ends up in a 1v3, and I know I sound more like a caster in this instance, but still, you see the problem here is that there is really no plan, and it's a lot of 1v1 duels, which leads to kind of a lot of chaotic rounds. Now, sometimes they win these rounds and they look really strong. I mean, like, for example, we have this round here, which, it's just a standard default round. They try their best to just kind of take their time. They're bleeding out the smokes. Let's watch this from Alexi's POV. They're taking their time, very methodical. They're getting mid control, putting a lot of pressure. JL is someone we're going to talk about a lot during this review. He's just kind of sitting outside of V-Box. He wants to take his time here. Again, everything is very slow. The idea with this, by the way, is because in a map like this that the CTs are going to have to play aggressive. They're going to go for these aggressive fights. The plan for Liquid here is they want to crunch canals. Why? It's because they felt a lot of mid pressure. And we've talked about this many times in demo reviews, but when there's mid pressure happening, what's very likely is the CTs will push extremities. The way I think about CS as a CT is it's very like yin and yang. If somebody pushes this way, you push the opposite way to take back the map control. It works like this in Anubis. They take mid and you're pushing in towards like canal or maybe be main, but you're trying to take areas of the map that they can't have. In this instance, like I said, they're going to do a canal crunch to take water off of the mid control. JL, of course, is going to be first contact because Ultimate is fading the smoke here any second, and he wins the fight. Now, things are looking good. 5v4, of course, Liquid want to get their mana advantage back, so they're going to push A main. They're trying to pull the attention of JL, which they do a pretty good job of, because think about it from JL's perspective. After he's lost his A main player, and he has no info, he has no idea when he could be peaked, and Liquid knows that. He has no idea when he could be peaked. They spot him here, and now they've lost all of their map control. And it's really easy for Liquid to hold this because, quite frankly, they have A main, they have E-box, and they know that they have to be mid. It's pretty straightforward from here, and if we just watch how this round pans out, we see that the bomb will go down in towards B, and this is one of the rounds where I feel like you kind of get bailed out a little bit by heroics from Navi, because Alexi is still hanging out in the palace area, and well, they're going to go on to win this 2v4. We have Nerds taking this fight here. Unfortunately for him, Alexi actually has a nade, so he's not going to let him play his life. Obviously, the idea would be really strong to make Alexi worry about Nerds forever so that they can overwhelm Wonderful. That nade's going to deny that plan, and now Alexi can back up, and he can play this really, really clean crossfire with Wonderful here, where they could just go back and forth off of the pillar, and yeah, it's clean. It's just a very heroic round for them. But again, you see, this is what I mean. They have to be bailed out by a 2v4 to win this round. And I mean, in JL's defense, he couldn't do anything, but the A main fight, it's another 1v1, and it's another 1v1 here. They're kind of leaving their players isolated and easy to exploit. Now we have the force buy for Liquid, and they're just going to go for a hard stack in towards A. I mean, it's unfortunate. This is the way that the CTs have to play, and no need in breaking this down. Unfortunately, Navi are going to walk right into this, and they're going to lose the entire round, and they're going to lose the money advantage yet again. So what do we have? It's 4-2, and the money is broke. We have a force buy coming up for Navi, and well, they're actually just going to decide to save. Can't say I'm disappointed with this decision from them, but after they lose this save, they have a buy with no op and a couple of missing utility. In my opinion, I don't like making this compromise, but it's Anubis, so I feel like I keep harping on this point, but it's Anubis, so you can get away with this, right? You don't need all the flashes that you would normally need for other maps because you can kind of just contact, so it's fair enough. Now, if you've been watching the demo review up to this point and you're probably thinking, well, it's not really that bad yet, Austin. Well, this is when things start to get a little silly. So we have a normal round here. We're going to wait out that stairs smoke, and we smoked off E-Box to kind of counter that. You know, you can get close. It's pretty straightforward. Now JL is going to throw this nade, and he's going to try to sneak in here, but he gets unlucky on the timing of that smoke fade, and ultimate will punish him. Now, in the meantime, I want to just have a look at what Wonderful was doing. This entire round, absolute cinema. Watch this. Starts by dropping the bomb right here, only to, in about 15 seconds, clear E-Box with JL, and then leave him to go back and get the bomb. In that time, that's when JL dies, and now Wonderful can't repeat because he knows that there's an op there, so he's just going to sit here, and eventually they're going to see a little bit of pressure. He's going to be helping a bit. He's doubled up with him. You know, he's not looking E-Box, and you know, for all of my radar watchers, you guys might have noticed what just happened. Somehow, in the time that Wonderful went to go back and get the bomb, and then come and peek this A main with Bit, Shui has gotten to this spot here. Well, you know, I mean, it's not. No, it's kind of unacceptable. I mean, really, I get it. You know, you don't want to peek on the op here, but like, surely somebody has to get this information, because this is like the only win condition for Liquid in this round, right? Like, they get somebody in a position like this, and even though they don't have mid, and obviously the A split's looking strong, like, this is a win condition. It actually goes on to be the win condition. By the way, look at what happened to Ultimate. He got absolutely destroyed by Wonderful, so I'm not sure why he was doubting, and maybe he didn't want to take that fight, but now look, he doesn't have any idea that Shui's there, and it's only a matter of time before he activates. Here comes the A pinch. Again, we know that they're in A main. We have people through mid. It's, you know, we're going to get spotted. That's when Shui drops the bomb, and because Shui created a little bit of doubt, Bit is now, you know, forced to recover the bomb. It doesn't know where he could be, and you could see the problem here. Now, you might think that I'm just blaming Wonderful for this round. Absolutely not. No, of course not. But think about it. The fact that Shui was allowed to be there, and it pretty much just goes on to lose them the round, not ideal. I mean, JL got unlucky on the time of that smoke, on the timing of the smoke fading, but Wonderful kind of just gave up this gap. Shui gets a huge 2K here to secure the round, and you know, it's CT side Anubis. This is Liquid's best map statistically. It's the map they pick the most, the map they win the most. It makes sense, but this is like, I feel like we should not let this happen, right? We're going to skip ahead a little bit here and talk about this round, which is round 11. NAVI have just won their first round in a string of 4 that they've lost, and they've broken the money for Liquid. As you can see, we have a 5-7, 2 MP9 to Deagle, and an op. Obviously, if you look at this at face value, this should be a really easy round for NAVI. The only way that they can lose this is if somebody makes a mistake. Now, look at what happens here. We take our time. JL does the same thing that he's been doing. Everything is looking pretty strong. And Alexi and Ema have taken mid. Wonderful knows nobody has pushed B main. Nobody's pushed A main either. I want you to think about this, and this isn't a trick question, okay? If we have all of the map control and we know that their money is bad, where are they? They're playing sites. It's not a trick question. They're playing the sites. We know they're playing the sites. They don't have any of the extremities. Now, one of the hardest things, and the reason why Bit isn't in A main, is for you to hold these close range angles against bad guns like MP9s, because they could just swing past your crosshair and you will lose the fight, which is exactly why JL gets into here, and then he gets flashed, and then, I mean, I don't even need to show you what happens. I mean, he got destroyed, but this is, I mean, yeah, of course you say, oh, I got unlucky. Why are you here? You know, like, it's a needless risk. We have mid, and I'm understanding maybe Alexi told him to do this. This is not necessarily me just blaming JL. I love JL, but again, why are we here? Is there a reason? I don't know. We know they're not B main. We can just probe in mid, make sure you are holding E-Box from maybe the stairs here. Eventually this has got to happen, right? But no, JL will give up the main advantage, and then we'll go on to you know, see how this goes. Nertz is playing this close angle here. Alexi is actually going to not walk into him, but instead walk into the opper. and then Nertz is going to reveal his position. Ima does really good to get the kill. Now, obviously, because we know that there was 2 people not in A main, Bit's going to take this map control. Everything is looking good at an individual level, but we're just down a man. We're down a man in JL, and you know, that's what's going to lose us the round here. Now, Ima has to make this pressure. Wonderful is going to get caught because he can't look at everything, and you see here, it doesn't matter how hard they try. It's all going to not work out because JL he gave up the main advantage, and we feel very uncomfortable not having somebody that can either double with Bit or come back to mid lane or something like that, right? And it's just like you lose a force to this, and then you know, you're staring down the barrel of a 9-3 half, and it's CT side Anubis for them, right? Now, here's a really good round for the CTs. We see the nice little A main setup here. They have good utility at 50 seconds left, and they're going to go ahead and get this E-box information here. So we watch this best from Emo's perspective. They know that they just got that palace smoke thrown down. They're going to try to take this fight. They smoke B main, and they double peek here. They spot 2 people there, which is going to pull the rotate of Wonderful over. Now, all that's to say, now Bit has to cover mid. He's made a little bit of noise, as you can see. He needs to be there in time. Off of that noise being made, though, that's when Nertz is going to get here. But of course, JL just threw that block smoke. So now they know that there's most likely 2A. Now, this is where I think something bad happens, because Ima has walked in here and he said that there's nobody coming into the site. Alexi also has vision. They know that it's probably not at least going to be B in the next 5 seconds. And so Wonderful wants to come back, and he wants to peek mid. So he's going to ask for a flash. So naturally, JL is going to run over here and throw the flash. Wait. No, like, I'm getting frustrated, and I've already watched this before. You didn't even... He checks, doesn't see anyone, and then immediately just goes, I'm gonna Okay, well, it's A, and now they've given up their position. The Navi guys are stuck. They're literally stuck on top of each other. Look at... Did you see what happened? Did you see? Look at how Bit looks at him. Look, just watch. He gets stuck on him here. Look, he's like, bro, what do you... Oh, brother. Anyway, so as you can see, this is going to lead to a round loss. This has got to be one of those, and it's like, I know JL watches the videos sometimes. If you're watching, I love you, bro. But this is one of those that you go into demo review, and you're just like, we were fine. Why did I do that? Why did I do that? Why? And then it's like, you know, I know maybe, you know, you're thinking the same thing for Ebox. Why did I do that? And it's just like a bunch of frustrating moments just added on top of each other. And it's like, you know, you make the mistake the second that it happens, but you know, it's just comms. It's just communication. Maybe Alexi's like, it could be mid. Wonderful's like, flash me mid, jail. I have the flash, and now I'm flashing. Very frustrating. Now, we have the last round of the game. I would just love to talk about this round from a strategic standpoint, because I think it is a beautiful round. Now, we skipped the first part. We had the E-Box duel, and we went 1-for-1. Now, JL is going to be sitting from Yakinder pillar, and Alexi B is just chilling right here. He's going to be backside. Twist is going to throw a smoke. I've missed the timing. I just want to show you the smoke lineup that he's throwing. Twist is going to get a smoke from his teammate here. Watch this. He gets delivered this one, and then he's going to come over here, aim like this, and jump throw. That smoke I've never seen before. Maybe I'm a noob, but this smoke is actually going to land. Watch this. Alexi B is going to have his position smoked. It's in this backside area, which is very comfortable for the CTs. One of the only positions that they can play. It's going to get smoked off, which means that Alexi B can be 2 places. Well, 3 technically, but he could be here, or he could be here looking E-Box, Palace, or here. You see what the point of this is that one good flash will blind all of those angles, right? So you see here, they're going to nade in towards JL. They have a pretty good idea that he's here, and this is all a strat, right? This is all a strat. Obviously, NAF is also holding for this. He knows that if he steps even just a little bit to the left, that he will be visible. They seem to have a pretty good idea that he has to be here. And why is that? Well, it's because he got a kill earlier from Pizza, and they know that he can literally only be here or CT, and CT is not an issue, right? So that's why it's like this. Now we watch this from Ultimate's POV. This entire round, that nade is going to hit, doesn't see anyone. Now we know that, of course, since we have the backside angle fought, Nertz is just going to well, Nertz is going to... Well, actually, I don't really care what Nertz is doing. I'm just surprised that JL was this hell-bent on killing the guy B main. I mean, like, you know, it looks a little silly, but I got it. I mean, you know, to give him the benefit of the doubt here, he's locked in on B main, and this nade most likely took his hearing, so he probably doesn't even hear the footsteps at all. But, you know, like, it's insane. It's insane to me, right? Like, He doesn't even move, not even a little bit. He didn't even budge. Either way, what a 6 draft from Liquid, but that's the first map. We're moving on to Ancient. Well, we're on Ancient, and this is it. This is the most recent map that they've played, and this is the map that got them eliminated from IEM Melbourne, because quite frankly, this string of rounds is the exact place that Navi's in. Now, we got a fast mid round here. It's going to be a regular force buy. Ema and Bit are going to get out mid here with the utility. Of course, we're waiting behind that CT molly. We get flashed through. We catch them on their re-aggression here. Look at that, a clean 5v3 advantage. Now, the only thing you need to do here is realize, who do we kill? Nerds and Twists. Those are the mid players. Ultimate is the opper. It doesn't have an op, but that doesn't matter. We're just doing that nameplating thing. And where can Ultimate be? Well, most likely he's either in B, started triple B. Maybe he's A, he's playing Temple. He could even be house throwing supportive utility. Those are literally the only 3 spots that he can be in this round. And so Bit's going to jump up here, and he pulls his knife out, and then Ultimate walks through the smoke. And this is actually a pretty normal play to walk through the smoke. And not only does Ultimate walk through the smoke and get 2, but in the meantime, Shui peeked out and killed JL, who was not expecting a peek at all because his teammate was just standing right here. And then, okay, right. So we had a 5v3 turn immediately into a 2v3. Now now Naf is going to get the kill, and Alexi's probably again wondering, where did everybody go? We know mid is weak because of the last round, so we're just going to send it in towards mid. They'd be right this time. Look at Alexi leading by example. He's going to get into here, kills Nerds. Unfortunately, Twist is he's going to completely whiff that one. And look at this. We've just won a full eco, and we know that mid is weak. So naturally, the only thing to do here is, because we know mid's weak, we're going to call around that again. He's calling right. We get out mid. Ema has taken control here. Everything is looking super solid. We're going to jump up. Everything is looking absolutely perfect. Where it goes wrong is, after a little bit of time, we have to wonder, are Liquid giving us mid because they can't hold it, or are they giving us mid and they're playing for something else? The second one is the right answer because, again, like I said on Anubis, we have this theory of if you take, you take, right? So what do we know? We know they're giving up mid and they're playing heavy sights. You could never walk out A when they're doing this because somebody's going to be playing one of these really annoying rat angles that you're never going to be able to walk out without getting killed. Now, we know that, again, very common Ancient theory, whenever mid is taken, it's really common for people to push down ramp or push through A main. Again, remember, keep that in mind because that's going to be very important as we watch the rest of the round. Ultimate is going to be a very aggressive opper, very reminiscent of how Simple used to op, walks down ramp here, and he's going to find a pick onto JL, who, to be fair, I don't expect this either from an op. Maybe you just lost track of the money. We didn't even know we had an op. Fair is fair. Now, once JL dies, we know now that we have to go in towards A. But one thing is problematic. They've smoked off Donut, but they've also smoked off A main. So now we know something. We know there's an op on B, and we know that there's 2 people on A. We're probably walking into a stack. Alexi's probably head in hands already because he knows that they've lost this force buy. Because where are you supposed to go? You can't go through these smokes. What if there's a 5-7? What if there's a op, or not an op, an XM or an auto shotty holding you? You can't get through this. Even a USP would be getting one coming through this smoke. We know that there's 2 here. Either way, now they've split up. Now it's now they're, you see, this is my problem with Navi, right? They're gonna do this multiple times in this streak of rounds. It's like the 1v1s. We have one person here, one person here, one person holding B, one person holding mid. Why? It's a force. They're going to be playing. Like, look. Okay. Well, we lost Bit. Unlucky. Now we're just sitting here. And where's everybody else? Okay, we've had to come back. Now we spot the op. Oh, wait. So now the op is here. What does that mean? Well, that means that the 2 people that smoked are here. Now the opper's here. They have info. We can't go B because they have some sort of info. Now, look. Even though Twist does get caught here, it doesn't even matter. They still even almost make this round winnable. It's close, but it's just not going to be close enough. They somehow get out. Ultimate misses all of his shots, all of them, and they get onto the site. Then Alexi misses the shot. You see, this is it's just like, it's so frustrating to watch because everything is just going perfectly wrong. The timing gets caught on Alexi. Now he gets a kill. Again, this is a force buy for Liquid. They need to win this. Their money is in shambles if they lose. And of course, Naf is going to win it. Easy peasy for them, right? And he has just enough time. It's actually so sad. Last second defuse. Wow. Well, unlucky. They should have won that round regardless, but they didn't. So now Alexi B is going to go for some fast mid control through Cat. As you can see, we smoked off Cave. Everything is just pretty standard. Ema's going to walk through the mid smoke here. Unfortunately, Alexi's going to take a death through the spam from an MP9. Not ideal at all. And they're going to fake like this mid pressure again. Liquid's been completely playing out. They know that they could be housed though. So you see Twist is going to get pulled off a B. They're going to go ahead and refight and clear mid. This is all pretty standard Ancient theory yet again. And We're just going to get a standard B execute. JL is going to force his way through this smoke with that molly that he just threw. And now, look, they know now that there's really like a timer here. They have to go. They get another pillar molly. They're stuck. They have to try to force this. I don't really like the idea of that pillar molly, by the way. But either way, Shui sees that now he has to go down B ramp because there's so much pressure and he's alone. Bit's going to catch him. Everything is actually perfect here. It really just couldn't go wrong if they wanted it to. Look, they finally get this kill on the long guy, and they have info as well on at least 2 of them. Bit gets another kill. If I pause this round and you see there's 4 on site, 2v4. No way they lose it, right? Well, Nerds is going to be walking in towards cave. Now, let's have a look at this, right? So we have one person holding long, right? Ima. We have another person who's going to be first long contact, which is JL. JL will see them first. Bit was just peeking long. Wonderful knows that he could stay pillar, but he needs to take cave. Ima is holding something that isn't possible. They can't peek here because JL will take this first contact. Who's holding cave? Nobody. Wonderful gets in here, dies. Ima, again, not even holding anything useful, dies. Okay. Right. So now, Nerds knows that somebody's got to be pillar or cubby. So JL standing here holding long. Right. Right. Okay. Now Bit's in a 1v2, and well, quite frankly, he's got to be there. Unfortunately, that molly gets bumped. Unlucky. It happens. You know, it's CS. Doesn't even matter. Okay. Well, you know, that's a disaster. I mean, it's just communication. You see it here. Like, Ima just needs to be holding cave. Wonderful could stay pillar. JL can hold this, and it works, right? It actually works, because now once Ima dies, most likely to Nerds, they can then play around this, right? Bit will know all the info. It is going to be uncomfortable, but it's at least more winnable than 2 people going down for free. I mean, JL getting wallbanged, it's unlucky. But what happened to the first 2 guys? That wasn't unlucky. Now, I don't know if you can tell if somebody's tilted by the way they play. Maybe you can, but this has got to be one of those rounds from the entire team where they just look like they're out of it, right? So JL's going to go for a fast cave. He does go down, but the trade comes in here from Alexi, takes his time, and he gets the kill. And, you know, we have a 4-on-4 here, which actually favors the T's, in my opinion. Alexi's going to get cave control here. And Wonderful actually takes his timing. I love this play from him. He walks through. He knows that Alexi's putting a lot of pressure, so he actually has time to just come up here and take this fight. 4-on-3, everything looks good, right? Like, this is a pretty standard round. Like, Navi, just all they have to do now is just not overextend. Alexi actually mollies off the rotate here. He thinks that he beat Ultimate's rotate with that molly, so they're going to put a little bit of pressure. The problem is that even though Alexi is doing this, well, the rest of his team is smoked off. I mean, you know, Bit is still, like, holding this push. Like, I don't know. Wonderful went back through the smoke. Like, it's not so clear where they're ending, and Ima's holding this mid. It looks like Ima's useless. He's actually not in this case. But Alexi is just going a little bit too fast, or maybe the rest of the guys are too slow. Either way, Alexi goes down, and Wonderful immediately, you saw what he did. He actually got here and then went back. So now they've lost their timing, and now Ima needs to walk up here. He's holding. He knows that this is possible. And remember, you know, we've just put a bunch of pressure. Like, Alexi was ready to end. They spotted Wonderful, which is their opper. And T-side nameplating would say if the opper is here, that means that the pack is here. We killed JL. We know it's most likely that they're doing this default where Ima's bottom mid, which is exactly why, and maybe Bit is lurking A, which is exactly why Nerds took this timing, because he knows he has a 1v1. If Bit's here, Bit's not here. Now he knows that there's only one person mid, most likely, and for some reason, you know, it just doesn't occur to the boys that this is possible. It's risky, but I mean, we didn't even check, and Nurse is going to catch them going B. He sees them looking B, knows that it's going to be B. Okay, so now what do we do? Bit's going to just try to take this timing. He's like, you know what? I'm just going to go donut. I'm going to go donut, or maybe catch Nerds, and then, well, that... Okay, so and forgive me for being confused here, but so let me get this straight. Bit just runs donut in a 2v3, and then Wonderful stays here. Bit gets the kill. He has a sight, and all right. Okay, so Naf makes sound cues. Wonderful knows that he can get the bomb down at least, so there's that. But they're playing 1v1s again. Like, they're just playing 1v1s. I don't understand. So now Bit, you know, they know it's B. We got the info. Wonderful and Bit are now going to have to take these fights. Remember, Wonderful heard Naf run this way earlier, and Bit never saw him. You know what that means? It means he has to be here or here eventually, right? That's the only option. So Wonderful is going to look for him. right? It's only natural. Bit now gets spotted. Ultimate sees him. Wonderful gives up the timing here. And Bit has to defend the bomb on B from boxes. He's stuck. He's dead. You know, and sometimes I just think, like, it's got to be miscommunication. Why is Wonderful... I mean, and like, is this the, I'm going to go run A and you're going to... I don't understand. I don't get it. Like, I'm frustrated as somebody just watching the demo. I can only imagine how it feels being in their position. We've got another gun round, and this is going to look very reminiscent to a particular round we already watched, which was their force buy round that Liquid ran. Ultimate's just creeping down here, looking for this pick at toward the bottom of ramp here, and JL, unfortunately, you know, not ready for him again. You know, he's aware of the push possibility, not ready for the op, gives the kill over. Again, unlucky. That one is actually unlucky, but when it's placed on top of everything else that's already happened, it feels really, really bad. Now Bit is going to go ahead and try to take this fight, and once again, he's going to lose this fight. Okay, this is almost identical to that one force buy round, and we have the exact same setup. Like, now Nerds is sitting here, and it's not ideal, right? Like, nothing that's happening here is what Navi want. Like, they're playing on the back foot here. They get this smoke again. By the way, this is exactly why you can't go through that smoke from before. They're trying, right? But it's yeah. If he had one more bullet, that would be exactly why. But the round's over. That was a gun round, and it's over. Everything just goes perfectly wrong. Like, you know, Bit goes for this fight and he lost it twice. It's so uncharacteristic of him. And in case you're thinking, by the way, you got this far in the video and you're thinking, well, this is just a series versus Liquid. No, man, it's not. This is how every series has been going. I've been trying, this video with this exact thumbnail that I've uploaded, this exact title, I've been making, but every time I make the video, they just do something worse, and it keeps getting worse. Like, you know how many Navi demos I've watched over the last, like, 4 months? Almost all of them, and they all have some like twist of this in there. Like the FlyQuest game at the beginning that we covered, when they lost a map to FlyQuest, I was like, oh, this is the event. And then they lost a series to Liquid, and just going through the demo, I was like, bro, this is it, man. I just know that this is time. It's time to have that discussion before the major. And again, you know, we can watch this round. It's just a standard force buy. I could break down the strategy here, but I don't really want to. Instead, I like going and talking about the misplays, because, you know, this round is set. There's not a lot of room for error. It's a force buy round, and they're just going to get onto site. Everything is good, right? We can have a discussion. I don't know who's to blame. I don't know if this is just Navi as a whole. I mean, surely they know the mistakes that are being made. Like, they all know that they're not playing up to the level that they used to. But is there somebody who's making it worse than others? Is there like a person that we can point to and go, you know, this person is constantly off and throwing everybody else off? I can't give an answer onto that, right? But I'm curious to hear what you guys think in the comments. With that being said, they're going to win this force buy. It's a little chaotic, and we have 3 more rounds to talk about. And I think this is another one of those rounds where you can just clearly see the communication issues. So again, to nobody's surprise, they've lost the pistol, lost the force, and now we are here in the first gun round. We're going to have the mid control coming in, and actually this round is pretty strong. So we see the T's have taken mid, and Ema, as he plays that role on T side, knows what's up, and he's going to back up and play with his teammate, and that of course is Bit. Now in the meantime, we see that we have a little bit of ramp aggression that's potentially coming in. Wonderful is holding a flash. This is actually a really good play. A flash is going to pop here, and unfortunately Twist is going to hide behind the little puffiness of the smoke here, so JL thinks he's safe, but he's not, and Twist is going to get the better of him. You know, it's actually a pretty unlucky situation. Alexi almost got caught in that naded smoke, and you see the round is kind of just gone to chaos. But, you know, in the meantime, you probably missed the fact that Ultimate has made it into house, because I bet that they did too. Ultimate is in house, and the rotates are cut. It looks like they have anywhere they want to go, they can. And yeah, that's what they're going to do. Ultimate's just chilling here. Catches Bit. Again, I expect Bit to be a little bit sharper when he's clearing those angles, but now you can see that there is really no hope in this round. And they actually go on to lose it. We have round number 20 here. Now this round is painful. So Alexi is going to nade this smoke here. He's got the information that they're not fast cat, at least yet. Everything is looking pretty similar to that last round, but Alexi gets a kill. Now we can actually fast forward a little bit here, and you can watch, because this is where I think disaster strikes. So we have Wonderful posted on the pillar. Let's keep that in mind as we go on. Now remember, JL is going to be holding house, because this is a very similar round to the one that we just covered. I'm doing this on purpose so you can see in the demo review how these rounds look. They go on top of each other. So in the round we just watched, they gave up the house gap because Ultimate took it. The only difference was JL went down here and he died. This time, Wonderful, instead of flashing, is holding the ramp himself, and JL is monitoring the house aggression. They're all aware of what's going on. The fix has been implemented. Maybe a blade timeout. Something is good, right? Everything is perfect. So we'll fast forward. Now we see JL is just chilling. He comes back. He wants to be useful to when this B hit comes in. Okay. 50 seconds on the clock. We know that they have to end soon. But look, bits through A. There's only two options. They're either going to go heavy donut with or they could have B heavy with one in mid. That's really the only option, right? Like, they're always going to be expecting this, but it's all B. Bit's going to be on the flank. Now we know that Bit's on the flank and we just need to buy him time. Now, here's where things go wrong. Somebody said block ramp. I don't know who. Somebody said it. Now, Wonderful is going to pull out a molly because he sees the hits coming in. Now, we remember, if we smoke with a ramp, Wonderful can't actually post with his op. So Wonderful is going to molly, and JL is going to smoke at the same time. The molly is going to not get extinguished. It's going to go. But if we look at this from Nerds' perspective, they're already through it. Now, the problem with the ramp smoke here is that from JL's perspective, no big deal. But from Wonderful's perspective, he can't actually use the op from Pillar here. And he's in some serious trouble. So, first kill, he gets, but he's good for no more because, look, you can't hold this, right? There's nowhere to back up. Pillar's mollied, which is by design, but, there's nowhere for him to go. JL gets one kill with Wonderful and swiftly exterminated. 3 on 2. It's not terrible. Alexi's making quite a bit of noise in towards cave. Unfortunately, though, Alexi's the cave player. So we just killed, and listen, this is how you think about this at the pro level, right? We just killed Wonderful and JL, right? Those are the two, JL is the site player, right? And Wonderful is the opper, which means that there's two. If there's somebody spamming you from cave, it's Alexi B. It has to be, because they would never play 4B, right? Does that make sense? They wouldn't have played 4B. We saw the mid aggression, and we know that Emo was there. We don't know where Bit's at right now, but we know that there's not two people in cave, so they're going to just make an educated play when they're a man down. You're going to kill Alexi. That's actually no big deal. Go for the spam. I don't hate that. You're buying time for Bit. That's the entire point. This entire time, they're just buying time for this flank so that they don't expect it. The problem is that this very ramp smoke that they used to buy time for Bit is now working against them because Bit has to wait, gives up the timing for Nav. Now Ema, again, he needs to just try to work with his teammate. They have no utility. Well, Bit has a molly. But you see, Bit ends up getting caught by Nav repositioning the op. And it's over. And this is one of those rounds that I would say is almost unlosable if you're Navi. Like, this round, they had the info. They knew it was B, but for some reason, they just didn't play the setup right. Like, smoking ramp, I know it makes sense, and it's one of those where you can't say it was the wrong decision. You can only say it was the wrong decision in hindsight, but you shouldn't be smoking off your opper, right? Like, your opper has a molly. Let him molly. You can come and fight with him at the same... I don't know. It's a very frustrating round again because you just know that they had the info. They had everything, but they make the wrong choice at the end. Now, I'm assuming that round really just sent them because this is the last round that they've played as of recording this video, and it wasn't even close. So again, we see ramp is smoked and we have Wonderful. He's trying to post on long, but because ramp was smoked, he has to eventually walk in and, well, unfortunately, I don't care how good you are, you're not going to be able to win that fight on land, and so we've lost Wonderful. Now JL is stuck in the corner. Alexi has to pull back on the site. I don't know. The ramp smoke must have just been, it's another one of those, right? Smokes are going to actually miss. JL is going to get the info that nobody's up. All pretty standard again. They don't really have a way to win this round. They need to group up, and they need to somehow force a trade somewhere. Unfortunately, Ema is going to gamble in towards B, gives the house gap, leaves Bit on an island, and Bit is going to get split. And there's really nothing he can do. It's not his fault. They made the gamble. Alexi spots Twist, but unfortunately, because Twist is that guy that's going to be alone, they know immediately that it's going to be A, and Bit tries his best, doesn't get any, and then it's just really disaster from here because that's when Alexi dies, and if it couldn't get any worse, the 2v4 retake doesn't even get started because Naf actually just lines them up here with the Galil, and that's how it went down. I don't know what's wrong with Navi. I don't know. A lot of miscommunications, a lot of individual plays that are just obvious mistakes when watching him back. I don't know. I don't know if they'll make a change before the major, but I can say this, it's looking bleak, and we could be seeing the final few events here with this version of Navi. So I hope they get it together because I really have enjoyed watching them play. I think they play good Counter-Strike when they're on their game, but let me know what you guys think in the comments below. If you guys made it this far in the video, I'd appreciate if you guys subscribe to the channel. Let me know who you want to watch next. And that's it for me. I'll see you guys very, very soon. Much love as always.